I'm curious, right? How would you say the difference between Shopify at 2017 versus Shopify now?
That the product obviously is much more mature. It caters more to a lot of the world on this side of the world, the eastern side of the world now. Previously, it was more for native English-speaking countries. That's the primary difference that I've seen. And the capabilities of the platform, the extensibility of the platform, and even the foothold in the different regions, you would now start to see that everyone understands what it is, what the platform does in some essence, and where it's headed.
And on this, can I just double click on right now, if I'm a merchant, what should be some of the considerations when I choose Shopify versus the rest?
At this point in my career and based on my experiences starting businesses, I would say focus on the business. Whether you pick Shopify, whether you pick any other tool, they are basically an enabler, a tool. It should not be your business. And let the guys or the people who are responsible for enabling you be responsible for that essence or that part of the tool. So in this example, I would personally lean on Shopify just because I know it will scale with me and I don't have to worry about re-platforming again. That is a huge learning experience for me because sometimes, for example, when you start out, you try to do WordPress. I'm just always trying to save my initial dollars. But sometimes if you set up the systems, it might be a little expensive, might pinch you today, but down the road, you'll thank yourself for, shit, okay, now I don't have to migrate platforms ever. I don't have to think about this. I'm actually saving 3 or 6 months of migration to it, which from a business perspective, once you hit a certain scale, that becomes a massive.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like we're trying to sell Shopify. I think these are things that I learned as well when I joined Shopify, being in a company, and I understood this. And also, some of these things are actually said to me by the merchants or Shopify or why they moved. I want to dive a bit deeper into the work you've done at Shopify, and you have helped a couple of or a lot of brands scale online. A lot of them involve changing platforms, right, from outside of Shopify come to Shopify.
Yeah.
And I think based on your time working with all these brands at Shopify, any key takeaways on what are factors that make this huge brand scale versus the rest?
That's a tough question.
Any common patterns?
Common pattern, because I live in the enterprise world during my time at Shopify, typically what I see are businesses that have been in operation for the past decade. They're generally not very new businesses.
True.
So they typically have an offline play, they have an online play, and online play is always catching up. So by trying to move to a platform that's advanced and does not require them to continuously re-platform, they're trying to just catch up with their offline work. That's the biggest takeaway that I've seen. In terms of growth itself, it's just the typical ads and discount play and promotional play. But obviously, when these enterprise brands be enterprise, the brands are the names that you would know. The brands are the guys that you would see around town anyway, so you're familiar with them. So I'm not very into that. I was more on the technical side when I was helping them move and migrate onto the platform.
To give a fuller color, right, of these brands, without naming the logos, what are some of the different verticals? Fashion, I know is a big one, right?
Fashion is a big one. It's also very common for sportswear.
Yeah.
Sportswear is a big one. The businesses that the biggest takeaway from this was they like outdoor camping. I didn't even realize that it was such a big business. But in certain countries in the world, they are massive.
Right.
Like businesses doing 30, 50 million, $100 million a year on outdoor and only B2B. They haven't even dabbled in D2C. So sometimes you see these things and you cannot just fathom how big the scale of these businesses are. Obviously, the SKUs individually are expensive as well. But at scale, when you hit those revenues, the operational side is completely different, like with so many moving parts.
So some takeaways from what you just said, right? Most of these brands that you work with are enterprise brands, all are enterprise brands. And it's always the case that most of them already have a very vibrant offline kind of footprint.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to do and build and bring the online part to the similar scale of what they do in the offline.
That is correct.
And I'm just curious, any particular brand that's just pure online only that you work with?
Nothing that comes to mind.
Yeah. I say this because I'm wearing Allbirds.
Yeah.
And they're a Shopify merchant. And I think they went IPO 2021, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that time they opened a few stores, but I know online was still the largest contributor of the revenue.
I think they started off
Yes.
online. They started off online.
So online, yeah.
Yeah.
Then by the time they went public, I think majority of the sales still came from online.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong. Then later on, they went offline.
They had very little footprint of offline.
Yeah.
They still do.